So, you're here. That's your first mistake. You aren't sure how you arrived in this town, are you? It looks nice enough. A little square at the city center, a vast forest off in the distance. A shadow creeps over you, then enshrouds you. Its darkness blinds you, as if you're in a closed box in a cave set in the deepest, darkest mountain. You stop. That's your second mistake. In that instant, you are part of the looming black monolith that dominates the skyline. Part of the dank lake whose mirrored surface reflects writhing clouds. Part of the square where the screams of burning witches can still be heard, and the remnants of their bones line the lintels of City Hall. This is Unpleasantville. You may not have meant to come here, but you were meant to be here with us. These are our stories. You will hear them. Anabelle Lee, proprietor, Kingdom by the Sea. Born 1960, died 1995. Story submitted by LindaAnn LoSchiavo, whose bio follows the reading. When my father died, few townspeople knew of his curious double life, nor suspected what an astonishing inheritance he would leave me. Blessed with a sixth sense for hidden bargains, he leased a building that stood vacant for half a century, a charnel house where the bones of women accused of witchcraft were kept. Though his shopkeeper's sign was the standard three-sphere symbol for pawnbrokers, that was strictly his public persona. Only I knew that it was those secret cement tunnels under the woebegone clapboard structure that amassed his fortune, my fortune. With my inheritance and inbred instincts for turning trash to gold, I acquired an ugly, empty house on a dead-end road. Though the fancier name is cul-de-sac, dead end suited it better. Lonely, dilapidated, and rumored to be haunted, it was snapped up at a discount. An architect and his stage designer wife transformed it into my bed and breakfast, Kingdom by the Sea. Technically, it overlooks a meandering river. Nor was it a kingdom, but haters gonna hate. During that formidable snowfall in 1990, when the fancy roof of my widow's walk began to cave in, it was obvious that a jack-of-all-trades had to be retained for ongoing maintenance. It was shortly after Christmas that he, dishonorably discharged, introduced himself to me. He claimed he'd shield me from the tyranny of ordinary. I replied, "Can you clean drains, fix pipes with a mortician's care?" "Winged seraphs," he sighed, adding, "Sounds dreamy." Handsome though he wasn't in touch with reality, describing my inn as a sepulcher. Since this is Unpleasantville, the morbid term eluded tourists. Still, it rankled me. Eventually, his nihilism had reached the nth degree, always contemplating mortality. A swell mechanic, sure, but his morose mindset was only fit for poetry. 5 years later, Hurricane Ophelia uprooted my cypress trees, chilling and killing my monthly income by the sea, chilling and killing my prized B&B. By then, my property appeared on the newly drawn flood maps because the river was sidling up my lawn after the winter thaw. While sweeping up the branches, leaves, and non-compostable debris, we disagreed. Storm winds rushed me into the sounding sea. How strange. He's been going around town calling me his bride. He tells them he sees my bright eyes, and he mourns by my sepulchre built near the sea. Though my days of bartering with plumbers, raccoon trappers, and exterminators are over, my ghost has to cope with tourists reading my extravagant epitaph in iambic pentameter aloud. Famous now, he's published by FSG. It's Linda Gould here, host of the Kai Dan Kai. During the Unpleasantville readings, I'm not really going to give an intro or an outro, but I had to say something about this first story. I wonder how many people out there caught the clues. This is such a clever work of art. LindaAnn LoSchiavo has taken a very famous poem written by a very famous poet, and she's turned it into the Anabelle Lee story that you just listened to. I don't know if you recognize her reference to FSG. That is Farrar, Straus, and Giroux. That's the company that has published several books about Edgar Allan Poe. Poe also wrote Anabelle Lee, the poem that LindaAnn LoSchiavo uses as a foundation for her own work. LindaAnn LoSchiavo is an American freelance journalist, poet, playwright, and dramatist from New York City. She recently released Women Who Were Warned, 29 poems about women from girlhood to womanhood, and she co-authored Messengers of the Macabre, Halloween Poems with David Davies. A copy of Messengers of the Macabre will be given to a lucky listener. Go to the Kai Dan Kai Twitter page or Instagram page to learn how you could win a copy. The addresses are on the podcast description. You can also find LoSchiavo's full bio in the episode description. And now, as a special treat, here is Edgar Allan Poe's poem, Anabelle Lee. You'll be able to see the little clues that LoSchiavo put in her epitaph to let us all know that Anabelle Lee is far more than just a tragic story in Unpleasantville. Anabelle Lee by Edgar Allan Poe. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Anabelle Lee. And this maiden, she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child, and she was a child in this kingdom by the sea, but we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Anabelle Lee, with a love that winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that long ago, in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Anabelle Lee, so that her high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know, in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Anabelle Lee. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we, and neither the angels in heaven above nor the demons down under the sea can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Anabelle Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Anabelle Lee, and the stars never rise but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Anabelle Lee. And so, all the night-tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea. Thank you for listening today. See you tomorrow.